Hey Cozie Homies! Welcome back to the zone. Today, I'm gonna do something really special and different, which is to do fashion designing. So I'm not sure if any of you know, right? But for me, I always love doing fashion designing for quite some time now. And I think especially for the past 1 year, right? I've been focusing a lot on doing YouTube. But before I was into this entire YouTube situation, I was a very big avid fashion designer. I'm a very amateur designer and stuff. I never really learned how to do all this professionally before. And I think for me, right, fashion designing is kind of like a creative outlet and a way for me to express my creativity through outfits. My approach on fashion is actually quite different from what many people would consider to be fashion, because for me it's more of images and visuals and how I can actually incorporate them into a shape of a human body. So in a sense, I guess it's low-key like fashion, right? So this is just how I approach fashion designing. For today's video, right, what I want to do for this theme of my fashion designing video, it will be actually the Met Gala. So I think many of us know that actually the Met Gala is the single biggest, most impactful, and essentially it's the fashion event that gets the most media attention because of how many celebrities are visiting and attending the event. The Met Gala theme, right, is always this heated topic of debate because many people actually don't quite understand the theme sometimes. Especially I think the 2019 one was quite interesting. So the 2019 theme was about camp, and camp is actually a very interesting approach to fashion, which is the intention of it is actually to be exaggerated looks and basically doing crazy stuff with your outfits. But the intention of it is not to grab attention, but it's kind of to actually showcase your personality through your outfits. Until now I still don't quite get the entire meaning of it, so whatever. And other themes that are a bit more easier to understand probably is the Catholic imagination. So basically for the theme of the Catholic imagination, it's kind of how they interpret things of the Catholic faith. So things like angels and wings and crosses and everything that the Catholic Church stands for and how they actually interpret the idea. One of my favorite themes they've ever done is actually China through the looking glass. So basically they bring in Chinese fashion and so basically fashion inspired by the Chinese culture or by Chinese designers. And I think that year was very insane, lots of very beautiful outfits that has Chinese influences behind it, and I really love it. And for this year of 2021, the theme would actually be, in America, a lexicon of fashion. And I think it's very interesting because American fashion, right, is they're not very specific about what American fashion means, and it's basically very broad and very open for interpretation. So it's kind of how the American culture and how it shaped fashion, as well as how fashion shaped American culture. And I really like this theme a lot because this theme is about how fashion itself is full of cultural significance, and we actually can see how just things that we wear, right, even though they might look insignificant and things like this, they actually have lasting impacts. And in the long run, in the long term, right, we actually get to see how fashion is actually a reflection of how the human culture is at its current state, and it's also a way for people to express their thoughts, especially how different generations have different looks, different trends in terms of fashion, right. I think it kind of reflects that mindset that follows it through the years, based on the different generations and people of different timelines. To prepare for this video, right, I kind of brainstormed a few looks. So for this video, I'll be making 3 outfits based on what I researched and thought about. So for these 3 outfits, right, I kind of have some themes behind it. So for me, the first outfit that I want to make, right, the first look will be inspired by traditional American values and beliefs. My second look, right, will actually be inspired by the American dream. I think the American dream is always something that everybody talks about in movies and in basically popular culture. So I think it's very interesting to touch on American dream. And lastly, I want to have this throwback kind of situation where we look back at very famous American fashion designers and some of their very impactful works. Basically American fashion designers that really changed the world of fashion. And I kind of want to incorporate some elements of their outfits into this look. So yeah, these are the 3 looks that I'll be doing today, and I kind of pre-planned all of them out already. So I'm just gonna draw them out nicely today. I'm gonna share with you how everything looks. Okay, so to start off our entire fashion designing process, right, we need to draw something known as curtis, I guess. So it's basically we're gonna draw a model on which we will put the outfits on. So let's try to do it. it's been quite long since I've done something like this lah. So based on what I remember, right, the ideal model kind of like body is like 10 head size. So it's like basically 10 heads lah. That's what I am taught based on my YouTube tutorials. So I'm just gonna try to do it. So from what we can start, right, is I think we draw like one head first, and then we estimate around probably 3.5 head sizes. It will be where the belly button is. Then after that, from here, right, one more head length. Here will be where the crotch area will be. So this will be a 4.5 headed size figure. Then the remaining 5.5 heads we will just draw like that. Will extend all the way to the legs. So yeah, I think around here. And I'll just try to draw them. Okay, so let's do it. Yeah, but I think as y'all can tell, right, I'm not really good at like approximating like the size of the human body. So let's just make do with what we have lah, huh? So basically, for the first look we're doing today is inspired by traditional American values, and based on what I researched on traditional American values, right, I think 3 of them stood out to me the most, which is utility, pragmatism, and individualism. And because of this, right, I'm inspired by a look that's like utility wear that's also very pragmatic. When you talk about pragmatic and like very mobile kind of like outfits, right, the first thing I thought of is actually oversized sweaters. And the funny thing is, right, you know, like for this year's Met Gala, one of the co-chairs of the event is actually Billie Eilish. And I'm not sure if y'all have followed this channel lah, but I'm a really big Billie Eilish fan. And she's known for this very oversized like hoodie, oversized sweater kind of person. And I'm just going to incorporate some of these like ideas into this outfit. So I'm going to do something like an oversized sweater, followed by a belt, a utility belt, I guess, where like they can put all sorts of like items inside, and followed by basically jeans and boots. Yep. And let's just see how it goes. Okay, so I'm very inspired by this like messy bun look, which I think is like, you know, how for like women, right, like sometimes you know, to get things done quickly, they kind of like tie like a messy bun and things like this. Based on experience lah, based on the many like strong independent women I've seen in my life, I think it's a very quick way to like get their hair out of their way basically. And because you know how this entire concept is revolved around utility and simplicity, I won't want to make this entire like sweater look too complicated, so as to like, you know, I don't want to take away the essence of what this sweater means lah to Americans. Excessive pockets, because I think the entire idea of utility is to have like pockets and like for easy access lah, basically for easier for people to like find ways to put things inside. Pen holders, you know, I feel like being able to hold stationery with you, I feel like it's a very powerful statement on the Met Gala. It's like really putting in the emphasis of knowledge and how, you know, I feel like one of the biggest developments in human culture is actually education, and I believe like education is like quite an important thing in any society, I think even in the US. So I feel like it's part of what makes us being able to be self-sustaining, which is the ability to read and write. Yes, hangers, post-it notes, I feel like all these are like very classical ideas, all the very like simple tools and gadgets, which actually reminds me of what it means to be independent. Yeah, followed by boots. And the funny thing is like how like as a Singaporean, right, like I'm trying to like find ways to understand the American culture. So all these are just my own understandings like, which might not necessarily be what a typical American, like a typical Native American would actually consider to be part of their identity and culture. So yeah, this is just the general like look of it, and I will add in a bit more details afterwards. The second look is inspired by the American dream. And for this look, right, I kind of want to do this like old Hollywood glam, like this kind of like high school prom kind of like ideas, because I feel like all these are very like American ideas that like it's not prevalent in like Singapore at least. And all this are just inspired by all the movies that I watched based on like American pop culture. And for this look, right, I kind of want to do like this contrast between like what it means to be like the traditional American dream versus the modern interpretation of the American dream. So let's just see how I can go about it. Okay, so right, to start off this look, I thought something very interesting. It's like basically like I try to incorporate like some American landmarks into this also. And one of the landmarks I can think of is actually the Statue of Liberty. So I'm just gonna give this lady like the crown that we see on top of the Statue of Liberty. So this is just an idea because you know how like the American dream, right, is about freedom and like, you know, liberty and things like this. And I think like the Statue of Liberty kind of like embodies this entire like ideal. So yeah, it's gonna draw in the iconic crown that she's wearing. And I'm gonna give her like very fancy sunglasses. I think like sunglasses and like, you know, summertime kind of like looks. Yeah, because I feel like my first outfit is very winter feels, I guess. And then for this look, I'm going with a bit more like summer vibes. So yeah, some diamonds. And I feel like because, you know, this is for the Met Gala, right, I kind of want to make things a bit more fancy. So even for the first look, right, even though it's just like a simple sweater look, I want to make it like look good lah. Yeah. So basically, this is gonna be a few layers. I want to wear like a tank top, crop top kind of situation. Yeah, I feel like this is like the very typical like hot girl summer like look, you know, like this you call it tube, is it, or like I don't know lah. Like I'm not an expert in like, all this kind of like terminologies for like fashion outfits. Yeah, so basically like a crop top singlet situation, and she's gonna wear some like fur, and yes, not animal fur, just like fur to like represent like artificial fur, I guess. I feel like, you know, fashion is also about like sustainability and like, you know, cruelty-free fashion. I think this should be the way forward for like many people. Yeah. So this fur is kind of like a throwback to like traditional Hollywood glam. I feel like this is what I always remember, like fur and glitter. I think this is very, yeah, this is just like the vibes I get like when I think about Hollywood glam. So yeah, so the fur is like a more like modern day interpretation of what I think glam is. I think for now, right, like the modern day view of glam is actually for things to be a bit more like I won't say gangster, but more like, you know, more street style. I feel like street style is really like taking over like the entire like planet right now. So giving her this like very like street style-esque kind of like purse to it. Yeah. Because if you realize, right, like I feel like no, like celebrities rarely bring out like handbags and purses or like onto the red carpet. So I just try to like make a change. And to kind of contrast this like tank top, like really like so-called like hot girl summer thing, I'm gonna give them like a prom dress bottom. So like I want to make it a very big dress for people to like walk in. Yep, so this is our second look, and for our last look today, we're going to be drawing something inspired by American fashion designers. So basically, when I was like researching on what I should draw for this look, right, I try to find things that are very like uniquely American, and one of them is actually like polo tees. I feel like polo tees is actually quite an interesting concept because it really represents utility, and it represents like it can be like worn on like semi-formal occasions, like it's like smart casual kind of look, and I think it's very like chic, it's very beautiful. And to so-called like contrast it, right, I'm gonna give something very like dramatic because I feel like for American fashion, right, the Met Gala itself is also something quite iconic and historically significant also. So I want to get something, give it a bit of a Met Gala flair to it. So I want to have this cape kind of situation going on. And yeah, and also I want to draw a wrap dress, because I feel like a wrap dress is also like a American design, and like they kind of like make things easy for people to wear and just wear over it, which I think is a very cool idea. So let's just try to draw this look. Yep, so I guess these are like how my looks would look like before I finalize them, and I think afterwards I will try to like draw over it to make it look good. Because I really love fashion a lot, right? I always thought of making like a YouTube video about how I do like my fashion designing, and you'll get to see like the entire like planning process and like how I execute the entire concept in my head, right? And yeah, I actually attempted to film like this video like multiple times already, but none of them succeeded. So I hope today's video will go well.